Front of the world in action to reduce emissions, we start behind because our per capita emissions are so large, because our sources of energy are overwhelmingly dependent on burning coal. And we should not forget that when the Howard government committed to an ETS in 2007, the world was much further away from concerted global action than it is today. Indeed, the Shergold report noted, and I quote, "The prospects for comprehensive global action in the near future look poor." But the Shergold report, in recommending an ETS, observed, and I quote again, "Waiting until a truly global response emerges before imposing an emissions cap will place costs on Australia by increasing business uncertainty and delaying or losing investment." Mr. Speaker, this legislation is the only policy on offer which can credibly enable us to meet our commitment to a 5% cut to emissions by 2020, and also has the flexibility to enable us to move to higher cuts when they are warranted. So for those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I support this bill. The arguments I've made for it are no different to those I have made and stood for the last 3 years. Now, during my time as Leader of the Opposition, I often defended the right of my colleagues from time to time to cross the floor and vote in accordance with their strongly held personal beliefs. This is a long-standing and treasured principle of the Liberal Party, and very different to the tradition in the Labor Party. And in that context, I commend the courage of my colleagues, Senator Troth and Senator Boyce, who crossed the floor to support this bill and effective action on climate change late last year. The importance of this issue, the expectation that Australians have that their parliamentarians will lead on it, the fact that the emissions trading scheme is being considered is nearly identical to the proposal put to the electorate by the Howard government in 2007, and my strong and long-standing personal commitment to effective action on climate change make it impossible for me to vote against this bill, amended in terms as agreed between the coalition and the opposition, the coalition and the government last year. The proposed ETS is a balanced, substantive and timely step forward on an issue of immense importance. And by relying so heavily on market forces to address this very severe, challenging problem, the ETS is far more in the great traditions of modern liberalism than any other available policy response. After all, I have always believed that Liberals reject the idea that government knows best and embrace the idea that government's job is to enable each of us to do our best. This ETS allows Australian businesses to make their own decisions as to how to reduce their emissions. Government sets the rules and in particular sets the cap on total emissions, and then lets the market work out the most efficient and effective outcome. Schemes where bureaucrats and politicians pick technologies and winners, doling out billions of taxpayers' dollars, is neither economically efficient nor will it be environmentally effective. For those reasons, Mr. Speaker, I will be voting in favour of this bill.